introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intention is teaching their talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. They ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his STIP methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin, yeah. He says recognize trauma, push past the pain. If you got a problem, go look at his frame. Work your perspective and look at it change. Find a goal, set it in critical thing. Manage time, self-awareness. These are the few of the things he's trying to get you to do every day. Do every day. Led 5 schools to increase test scores with his teacher principal collaboration. Things he gives to you will have you take you drive to the next level. But first, you need to get some fuel at gas station. Supporting education leaders, creating a culture for kids that'll last for ages. Lack of access to quality professional development, that's outrageous. Got his doctorate in education. Leadership, research, make changes. Need to put the kids first and raise them. Need to teach them they worth, stop playing. Later on, they gon' run this nation. Dr. Joe with his dissertation taught to those who would fix, make changes. I introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intentions. The teaching that talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. They ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his DIP methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin. Introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's.
Great day, leaders. Welcome to week 20 of the Speaking Life in You Leadership live stream. I am your host, Dr. Joe Griffin, where we talk leadership dynamics, personal and professional growth, educational trends, and we provide solutions to help you with school improvement. Let's go! It is indeed another great week, and we're so happy, so proud, so excited to be here. I definitely want to start out with our weekly roll call. If you're in the building, if you're in the Zoom, if you're streaming, wherever you are, please put it in the chat. Let us know where you are. Also, we've got to definitely first off shout out Sir Travis Hunter with the Heisman Trophy win. That was big. That's big for really all of African American America. He went to HBCU, started out, then they went to the Power 5, Colorado. Also, big ups to Deion Sanders and just everything that he's doing. He's been a great model for African American men, fathers, coaches as well. And that really goes right into our segment today, because we have to always empower our different various segments of the communities. That's what collaboration is all about. And one of the things that I definitely want to start out with, because this is crucial to you all as leaders, as educators, you've got to be able to do a little of it all as the leader, as a leader. And I'm going to repeat that again. You've got to be able to do a little of it all as a leader or as the leader. And we know that the school year, the first part of the school year is coming to a close. We've got the holidays looming around the corner, and everyone wants to get out. Everyone wants to go home. But as the leader and as a leader, you got to make sure that you tie those loose ends. You got to make sure that you don't let people go home in a bad way, in a bad mindset. You got to make sure you tackle that now. You've got this week, more than likely, mostly everyone has another week of school prior to the holidays. So it's very important that you have those pep talks with those students, with those teachers, that you allow them to finish out with the right frame of mind. Don't go home saying, I'm just going to come back after the holidays. Things have time to fester. People have things going on in their lives. People are talking to them. So you want to make sure you get ahead of that and talk to your students as well as your teachers about those things that you need improved coming back. So pep talks, go ahead and have them now. Don't wait. Don't wait. You got to stretch that out right now. Any differences, let's reconcile those with your students, with your teachers. You know that you left students and teachers somehow, some way, in a bad way. We got to fix that. Don't allow yourself to go home and say, I'm going to deal with it when I come back. That's not proper SEL, okay? Right now, we want to definitely be paying attention to our social, emotional learning strategies. So you want to make sure that you take care of that this week, right now. Have those instructional conversations. Don't wait until we come back, because you want them to be thinking about those implementations. You want it to be growing on their mind. Remember, collaboration is continual. It's something that you have to do over and over and over again. And if I want you to improve on this station work, on this reciprocal teaching, on these KWL charts or thinking maps or graphic organized, whatever the instructional strategies are, I want to have that conversation this week with you just to motivate you, push you to that next level, let you know that I'm with you, I'm supporting you, and that as a leader and as a leader, I need you in a good space and a good place. Also, those data talks, have those now. Continue to have them continuously, but don't wait till you come back after the holidays to have those data talks. Make sure you have those data talks now, because you want everyone, students and teachers, on the right path and doing those things that you need them to do in order to get better and keep getting better. So I just want to quickly share those things with you today, because again, you've got to be able to do a little of it all as the leader and as a leader. Over the course of these 20 weeks on the Speaking Life and You Leadership live stream, we've talked about coaching, SEL, academics, instructional focuses, and so many other different areas that you have to be able to be proficient in. And if you're not as proficient as you want to be, you still want to be able to collaborate and get people to help you and designate those other leaders in the building to ensure that things are being taken care of. So today we have a dynamic duo, Create and Educate. And I want to first off read off their bios, and then we're going to bring them to the stage, because they've got a lot to offer us today. And you know, we're all about empowering one another. And we're going to start with Dr. Sheka Houston. She's the Chief Operations Officer and Strategist for Create and Educate LLC. She's also a speaker, best-selling author, and senior consultant for the company. She's known as one of the systems doctors from her weekly live stream, The Real Academy, that airs every Saturday at 10:30 a.m. as part of the Fantastic Four live stream network. Dr. Houston has more than 28 years of experience in the industry and education, serving as a business teacher for 5 years, assistant principal for 8, and principal for 5. She's currently entered her 4th year as the Director of Secondary Interventions for Chester County School District, and was the first African-American principal of her middle school, and with the help of her dynamic staff members, raised the school report card 2 levels in 1 year. Dr. Houston also serves on the board for the Medical University of South Carolina, for Chester County Hospital, Girls on the Run Tri-County, the Chester County 4-H program, and she also has 2 daughters, Elizabeth, who is 13, and Isabella, who is 10. She is most passionate about giving those without a voice volume and shining a light on those not already seen by others. And next, we got Dr. Tammy Taylor. She's a dedicated educator who has committed her life and career to the service of others. She spent years as a public educator, serving in a variety of roles. She currently serves as elementary principal at Great Falls Elementary School in Chester, South Carolina. She's a 2022 graduate of the University of South Carolina, where she conferred her doctorate of philosophy in educational leadership and policy. Tammy is married to Pastor Keith Taylor. She's the co-founder of Create and Educate and of the Knowledge Academy for Girls. She's passionate about working with youth and loves inspiring others to be the best that they can be. Tammy is the Chief Executive Officer of Partnerships for Create and Educate. She's also a best-selling author and senior consultant. She's known as one of the system doctors also from her weekly live stream, The Real Academy, as part of the Fantastic Four live stream. I welcome to the stage Dr. Houston as well as Dr. Taylor. Great evening, ladies.
Great evening, Dr. Griffin. You're dropping gems already. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Good evening, and thank you so much. Awesome intro.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining. We see you all the time on the weekly live stream. You all are doing wonderful things. You up to how many weeks now?
174.
174. So I appreciate you all for joining us on week 20 of the Speaking Life and You Leadership live stream. That means a lot.
Definitely.
So you all just, if you will, just kind of give us a intro and tell us more about what you do.
So we are definitely passionate about the work we do with the live stream. We feel like that's our way to pay it forward. When we were in administration and we were in school improvement, we didn't have any support. It was not a good experience. We were placed in a lot of pressure, negative pressure that was unnecessary. We have since gotten a lot more supportive superintendent who definitely supports us and our work. But at that time, our jobs were on the line. So we feel like that live stream is our way to pay it forward, to give people the help that we didn't have when we needed the help.
I love that.
I'll just add that we're in this, as Sheka said, to be there for others in a way that we did not have people to be there for us, and for our story to be an inspiration to others to know that you can get through those tumultuous times that you think your back is against the wall and it seems like there's no hope. Hope is on the horizon, and there is a way that will be made. And so we do really take what we do very seriously, because it's often that leaders have to suffer that pain in silence. And thank God we were able to be there for one another to buffer that loneliness that can be a part of being in a situation where your back truly is against the wall, your job is on the line, your reputation as an educator. And you're talking about people who take seriously what they do. So, we've been doing this work for a while. And when you're serving in the community where you've grown up, in the community where your family resides, and you're in the community where you chose to come back to make a difference, it matters, and the work that you do matters. So when you have people who are saying that you can't be successful, or you're not going to be successful, that's something that we took very, very personally, and decided that we were not going to just sit on what God had blessed us with and through, but we were going to be there to be support to other people who find themselves sometimes in those situations.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And what I heard you say was that you all were lacking support, so you became the support. And that's powerful in itself. And that's what empowerment is about. It's about taking what you don't have and turning it into what you need it to be. And I heard that. I heard you say that in both of your statements. So I appreciate that resilience in itself for doing what you have done thus far. And with that being said, I know you all have several different models that you coach from, that you lead from, that you empower others from. And I know you have the self-coaching, self-selected coaching model that you tout so very well. If you would kind of break that down for us, kind of let us know what's that all about, how it's implemented, and so forth.
Most definitely. So, one of the things that happens, and we see it because of the work that we do, because of our own experience working with principals all over the country, when as soon as the school goes into school improvement, there are some districts, superintendents who take the approach of, well, I've got to make sure that whatever happens, I'm covering myself. So if the district is in cover themselves mode, what happens usually is there's a coach that's assigned to the principal because the principal now is deemed as somebody who does not know what they're doing. They're usually the problem. And so if they've got this coach is coming in really to document them, because at the end of the year, if they are not able to do what is tasked, and that is to have some type of growth, we have our proof now, documentation, and then we're also reporting back to the superintendent, to the district level, everything that's happening when we're coming in. Self-selected coaching does not take that approach. We realized sitting in those seats of being in school improvement, we were not incompetent. We were made to be seen as incompetent. We were placed on improvement plans. We were told at the end of the year that we would be back into classrooms when we were not able to do what they thought that we couldn't do. We raised our school report cards. Mine went up 2 levels in 1 year at the middle school. Tammy's went up 3 levels in 1 year at the elementary school. And it wasn't because of the pressure. It was because you don't think anything of our children. You don't think anything of us. And the best way for us to show you is to prove it to you that these children can do and that we can do as well. So self selected coaching takes the approach of, we are coming alongside you because as a principal, you did not just get to your position and not because you didn't know anything. You know some things, you know a lot of things. You may not have known how to turn a school around because how many of our programs taught us how to do that? Most of them didn't. So we're coming alongside you to teach you what we did. You take back what is needed for your building because you are the expert in that seat. And there is no reporting back to the district, to the superintendent, because you need true support. You need to be able to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, I don't really know a whole lot about this, and not be judged for it or not be criticized for it. So self-selected coaching is that when you reach out to us, you have true help, and we're going to help you turn that school around the same way that we did.
Love it, love it. You want to add
Well
anything to that, Dr.
said.
Taylor?
That very well said. I would only add that for us, again, it comes from a very personal place. We didn't even have coaches in our scenario. We had no coaches assigned to us. We were just doomed to despair and failure. We were counted out. So when we started to see this model of coaching where coaches are assigned to individuals and the individual has no say in who they're working with and has little trust for the person that they are supposed to be coached by, it becomes a very complicated situation because the honest truth of the matter is if you are not able to trust the person who is supposed to be coaching you, if you cannot view that person as someone that you can be vulnerable with and as someone who is going to be there for you regardless of what they see when they come to coach you, you are putting yourself in a position of awkwardness because now you are saying to me, I have this person that I don't even trust. I don't know if this is someone who is really going to be here for me, or if this is someone who is just collecting data, as Sheka said before, that is documenting me out of the seat that I'm
Right.
sitting in. And because of that, people don't engage in coaching the way that we want them to engage. And then our model is self-selected coaching because now you have someone who is coming alongside you to coach you through these scenarios that you may face, not tell you what to do, because that's not what we do. We're not coming in to tell you what to do. When you heard Sheka say, we know you have good ideas, we know you know what to do. You might not know everything to do. That's when we can bring in the expertise that we now have with being forced to turn around in school. And she said she hit the nail on the head. When you tell me that I can't do something, I show you that I can. And what you say to me when you put us in this box and you have boxed us into this situation that you are saying you'll never, y'all, it's no way to get yourselves out of this situation that you're in. You've not just counted out the children and you've not just counted out me, you've counted out the staff. We're working with people who are amazing at what they do. So what you can't do is tell us what we are not going to do. Because if that's your approach, then I'll show you what we can do, which is what we did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I I definitely hear what you all are saying with the self-selected coaching model. So how would a leader in a position, say with the district, and they've already got their coaching model set up or what have you, what advice would you give to that particular leader as far as reaching out and getting it established where they have self-selected their coach versus what the district has given them?
Um, so I'm sorry, Dr. Griffin. Tammy, tell Bella to go sit down because I can see her behind you. So, Doc, you're saying if a district has already given them a coach and they're wanting to self-select.
Yes.
Okay. So it's no problem because our coaching model is completely different than what they're doing at the school level. Because in order to be able to turn a school around, we cannot help you do that during the hustle and bustle of the school day where you are in there working with your teachers, you're observing classes, you're talking to parents, you're working with students. The things that we need to tell you are things that we do exclusively in our Leadership Trust May Institute, which is after hours. We host that virtually in a group setting so that you're able to collaborate with other leaders that are in the same position as you are. Because again, you have expertise too. You're going to be able to share what you're taking back from what we're giving you in the Institute, what you were able to do, how it worked out, and we're going to work through it together. We're going to give you our expertise about it and what we did. And we divide it up into levels. Tammy's over the Elementary Institute. I am over the Middle School Institute, and we are very happy that we're bringing the National Secondary Principal of the Year, Dr. Tracy Sweely, is over our High School Institute. So we give you a letter to give to your superintendent, just asking for that time to be retrieved later on. Because if you're spending an hour or two with us during the week to work on the right work, then your time should be taken back from the school day somewhere. But we're not in there on your heels when you have 1,000 people and 1,000 things pulling at you to try to coach you, because coaching is not happening during the hustle and bustle of the day. The person who's there during the day, like we said, most of the time they're documenting.
Love it.
And so
Love it.
coaches, principals can reach out to us because they're able to obtain us with, it's we're not an astronomical amount, where, because we know how that game works too. When you
Mhm.
get to a certain amount, now somebody's got to approve it. This is something that's going to be approvable by them through their principal's account.
And we also have to just, because we're very transparent about the work that we do, because we have worked with principals as assigned coaches. But the thing that we do, because the district is also able to reach out to us to um, contract with us to coach. And what we are very clear about, though, with superintendents, when that is the model that is selected, if you want us to do what you are asking us to do, then we need you to trust us to do it. Because what we're not going to do is come back and report to you what this principal is doing, because that works in absentia of what you really are asking us to do. If we're saying we are here to support and we're here to help, what we're doing is tying our own hands if we come back to you reporting things that we haven't had a chance to work on with the individual to improve. So it's very clear, it's made very, very clear that we are going to do the work that you've asked us to do, but we require you to trust us to be professionals and make sure that we're coaching this person and not reporting on this person, because that's not what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. That's nice. Um, and at this point, I would like to get a little crowd engagement. I want them to think about, crowd, if you will, think about a mentor or a coach who has made an impact in your life. And if you're able to share it in the chat, we definitely would appreciate that. But think about it for sure if you don't do anything else, because that's a big part of your self-awareness, knowing who has impacted you, who has coached you and mentored you and helped you to be a better you. So that's awesome. That's good stuff you all are doing. And Robert Curtin, also from South Carolina, he said, I compliment your guests for the insightful discussion on coaching and its critical role in developing leaders. A lot of people miss the importance of coaching. This is true. This is true. Thank you for that,
Very
Brother
true.
Curtin. And with that, we kind of move right along uh, with our conversation as far as systems, respect, and accountability. I know you all have a couple of those. So, how can leaders foster respect and accountability and sisterhood to empower women and girls in education and beyond?
So, what one of the things you read about us in the title is that we are the systems doctors. So, everything that we teach through our academy, through the TrustMate Institute, we teach it in systems because systems are things that are replicable. Like people can replicate a system. And our system of respect just basically starts with the foundation of we are in the people business before we are in any other business. So when you are treating people respectfully, when you cultivate a family type atmosphere in your building, when you're treating people like humans, because I'm not quite sure what happens to some people when they get into leadership, and we call it the George Jefferson syndrome, when they walking around with their hands shuffling behind their backs, and they got to show people they in charge, and that is
Right.
not what people are responding to. You really got to cultivate relationships and make people believe in your vision and what you're trying to accomplish at the school so people can get behind you, not just the teachers, but also the children, the parents. Everyone needs to buy into that vision and respect that vision. And then with the accountability piece, you have to have systems in place to make sure that the work that you've put out, you have things that checks and balances in place to make sure that we're coming back to circling back to we are doing exactly what we're said we're going to do. And when you're transparent as the leader, you show what you're accountable for too, because you have data too. And not just that you're checking everybody else's data, but we're all in this together. And then I'll let Tammy speak to the sisterhood and empowerment for women and girls.
Yes, and if I could, just one more thing on the systems, and Sheka very eloquently told you why we chose systems. Systems are the same thing for us as protocols, and when you have those protocols and structures in place, then you can not just create things that are replicable for other people to do in other places. It's replicable in your space. And so you start to see that people pick up on what those expectations are and what the structures look like in your building. And when people start to operate within those protocols and structures, that's when systemic change starts to happen. And when you see change system wide, that's when you start to experience the kinds of success that lead to those feelings of empowerment. One of the things, and Sheka mentioned for me to kind of go on into that whole sisterhood part of what we do, because that is another very important aspect of the work that we do. In my dissertation work, one of the things that I found was that we have to, as Black women especially, but as women in general, we have to have that connection and feel like there is a common understanding amongst us where we need one another to actually support each other. We need each other to survive. And when that is non-existent, it's a very difficult road that you have ahead of you, because it feels like you are in that space all by yourself. And the work that you have to do, you take on all of that and you carry the burden of that on your shoulders. There is a image. There's an image that we use that shows this lady who is carrying the weight of the world. And that image is something that we often share when we're doing trainings, because that's not how things are supposed to be. And when you are genuine in a sisterhood, that sisterhood provides you with the support that's needed to be your best. And I'm glad to be that support system. It debunks all of the things that you hear people saying about how it's so difficult for women to work together. And even women sometimes will say, all my friends are guys. I don't even deal with women because they are so catty and they don't do the right things. And that is because that has been often the way that women have dealt with one another. But what we suggest and what we challenge women to do and to see is that there is a better way. We're way better together than we're ever going to be individually. So collectively, we can make things happen with the support and the connection with our men who we are also connected to, because that's another part of the work that was done in the study. And we don't have time to get into the depths of that, but just knowing that that work is based on a model that is designed to strengthen the community. It's designed to strengthen the family. It's all about family centrality. And that family centrality spills over into the community. And in that community, we are providing opportunities for women to come together and to experience that sisterhood in a way that has before now not been something that has been embraced necessarily. And that's how we've earned that reputation of, oh, I'm not happy for her. She's not, it's not my, I don't have anything to do with that. So it doesn't even matter. I don't care. That's on her. But what we are trying to do is help everybody to see, look, it's enough room for all of us here. It's enough work for everybody. It's enough space for us all to be successful and nobody get in each other's way. I'm going to support what you do. You can support what we're doing. And together we can go much farther than we can if we're working against one another.
Yes, that's some good information right there. And the theory, and I think it's called Africana womanism, right?
It
It
is Africana
it
womanism.
really should be something that we use across the board, with women, of course, but also with everyone. We've got to be more supportive of one another because, again, you talked about that connection piece, and I'm big on that connection piece because that connection, it leads to us being able to be empowered, and then our empowerment then allows us to be able to truly collaborate. You also
And one thing
mentioned,
that's important too, Dr. Griffin, if I may,
yeah,
this is important for people to recognize when we're talking about, and this goes back to everything that you were talking about in your intro, school improvement and making sure that we're creating spaces where children can thrive. One of the things that happened when Sheka and I were in the midst of what again was a very tumultuous time, just very calamitous. And we are looking at this thinking, wow, we're up against a lot, but we're not giving in. The thing that I can say that was just something that was, I think, divinely given to us. God allowed us to be each other's trust mate. I needed somebody in a way that I needed somebody. She could needed things in a way that she needed someone. And what we could do is we could be that for one another. So you don't often have just what you need right next door. So you have exactly what you need. She had what I need. I had what she needed. We coined each other trust mates, and we're able to help each other to dig our way out of this situation that we find ourselves in. What that taught us, though, going through that together was, you know what, this collaboration thing is not by chance. This
right,
is something that works. And when you put that into perspective and you help people to start understanding the power of collaboration and the power of working together versus working against one another, then you start to see, here's her school in one part of the district being successful. Here's my school in an entirely different part of the district being successful. And what can we say? This is, we cannot say that anything was happening. No one was pouring support into us. We found support in folks who were hundreds of miles away from us. Sean Hurt is helping us. Principal Kafele is helping us. You got Dr. Sharon Porter, Melissa Chester. None of these people are anywhere near where we are. And so we're looking to each other and saying, you know what? This is why we really need to base the work that we're going to do on that connection that you just mentioned, that collectivity, and the power that collaboration will allow for success to be bred in any circumstance.
And just to add to that, that's why we're intentional about doing the work that we do together, because we want to model that.
Yeah. I love it. And I gave you flowers behind the scenes, but I also want to do it publicly. You all do an amazing job with that. Unmatched. Best duo that I see in education right now. So we appreciate
We
what you all do.
appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. And I heard you talk about systemic change. And one of the only ways that systemic change could come about is through a term I coined as systemic collaboration. It has to happen across the board. It has to happen at the district. It has to happen at the school. It has to happen in the classroom, and so forth, with the parents, the community. It has to be across the board in order to see that systemic change piece actually occur. So again, great information right there, and thank you for sharing that. With that, I know that you all also have several programs, and the Build My Sister program. What inspired the Build My Sister program, and what has been its impact, or what's its purpose?
So what inspired Build My Sister was Tammy's dissertation, and we were very, and I'm not even going to act like it was us. Like Tammy said, it was divine. Because when it's God, you got to give God the props. Tammy's dissertation work was around what you talked about, Africana womanism. And because I was a reader for her dissertation, after reading it, I knew that because I know how people are, and just from hearing people talk, if we had named it for marketability purposes, something that had African or Africana in it, some people that look like us would say, "Oh, African, that's not for me. I'm American. Because we don't know our culture and we don't know our heritage, and we've been taught to not gravitate towards our culture and our heritage." So, Build My Sister was something that came from that, her dissertation work, because genuine sisterhoods that we have, Tammy and I have, and that we know that is needed, don't exist in great deals across our culture, across any span. So Build My Sister is really about learning how to build a genuine sisterhood, because in the African American community, a lot of times we don't have that. And because of Willie Lynch, we've been taught that we are each other's enemies. And a lot of times in education, especially in leadership spaces, we are pit against one another. The person who came to document me looked like me. She wasn't sent by somebody who looks like me, but it would have done her better, the person who sent her. Oh, if I send somebody who looks like her, then I won't look a certain way for what I'm trying to do to her. And so when we have genuine sisterhoods, this is teaching us how to build those sisterhoods and support one another. Even if I'm sent to do something, I can do something different, because I was tasked to do some things to some people who were put in my building that I told them I would not do. Because certain things you're not going to put on my watch. I just don't operate in certain ways. And so building a genuine sisterhood is what came from Build My Sister. And I'll let Tammy, it's her baby. So I'll let her talk about that. It came from her dissertation work, which was phenomenal.
But she says it's really our baby. I wrote the dissertation, and I wrote the dissertation because so we're talking about divine intervention and how we know that what we are doing is not just by happenstance. It's not something that has just been, oh, this is what we find ourselves doing. This is divinely orchestrated. And I say that to say, I changed my dissertation topic at the end of the game. I was all the way through the prospectus with a whole other topic. And I could never connect with a theoretical construct that matched what my belief systems are. And as you know, Dr. Griffin, you don't just go operating outside of the theoretical frameworks that are in existence when you are writing the dissertation. You have to find something that you can connect with while in the throes of the work. You don't make up a theory and think somebody's going to go along with your theory while you were writing a dissertation. It was, get out of here. What do you think you're doing? But I couldn't find anything. I couldn't connect with anything. Feminism did not match what I wanted to do in my work because the concept of feminism in a nutshell mostly goes back to I don't need a man for anything. And men are often perceived as the enemy. I don't feel like that. That is not what the work I was trying to do was showing me. Like this doesn't match what these women are saying. I'm doing lived experiences, and these women are not talking about men who they hate and cannot stand. They're talking about fathers who sacrificed to make sure that they got to go to school, uncles who babysat so that they were able to be first generation college. You're talking about brothers, my own, who went over and beyond to make sure that my mom, who was a single mother, didn't have to work so many hours. My brothers went to work as soon as they could so that they could help out in the house. So I'm not looking at this understanding how I'm going to write a dissertation talking about how men are the enemy. And so I find, now I don't even find, and again, this is just how God operates. Dr. Sheka Akua, and shout out to him, sends me a clip of a speaker, Dr. Clenora Hudson Weems, and says, I think this is what you're looking for. Check this out. I look at the clip and think, wow, what in the world? How is it even possible that this could match so closely with what I was thinking, just didn't know how to articulate. And so I talked to Dr. Kua. He kind of sets me on the right path. He makes that connection. Dr. Hudson Weems now is someone, and she can tell you, who endorses the work that we do based on her work. So she was very thrilled to have the work done in her behest, and has endorsed not just the dissertation, but what we do. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have found the Africana womanism theory, because again, that was the connection to the family centrality. And a part of the family centrality goes back to working in concert with the men in our community. And as we are working in concert with the men in our community, that strengthens the family unit. And when the family unit is strong, you got a strong woman coming out of these families. You have a woman who doesn't mind working and coexisting alongside other women who they can support and uplift. That's what we're doing. We want to lift as we climb. We're climbing, and guess what we're doing? We're lifting as many Black women along with us as we can. When I go up, we want you to come on up with us. We're not crabs in a barrel like it has been set up for us to be. We want to debunk that myth that that's how women have to operate with one another. And our Build My Sister is our way of demonstrating what being genuine in a sisterhood can really look like.
And I do want to add this footnote. I'm glad that you, like you referenced, that you like the construct and everything, Dr. Griffin, because we do have Built My Brother that complements it. We just haven't released that yet, but it's coming, because the Africana womanism principles are the same principles. The Africana man principles are the same, and that's under the Build My Brother umbrella.
We need those programs of empowerment. We need programs of empowerment, those frameworks that show us that are alternatives, that we don't have to just stop and give up, that there are other things that we can do to get to our goal. So I appreciate the fact that you all are building those programs of empowerment. And if I'm not mistaken, you have another one as well, right? Empowering girls through the Real Me, through the
Yes.
Real Me program. So that actually flows right into the Real Me
I'm
program. Can you tell
sorry.
us about it as well?
Yes, we are very
We got a
excited.
lot going on. Yeah, that's Brownie. So the Real Me for Girls basically takes those Africana womanism principles and puts them in a perspective for young ladies to recognize their identity and find out who they are, because a lot of the problems that exist in our community has a lot to do with us not knowing who we are culturally, who we are spiritually. Now, the Real Me for Girls is, we don't have, the one for schools is not spiritual. I'm just talking from the
Hmm.
perspective of being a spiritual woman. But we don't know who we are, and that's where we can't connect, because we don't know where we're coming from, what lens we're coming from, so we don't know how to navigate. So the Real Me for Girls takes content, things that we know young people relate to. We have what we call Tube Quest, because I have two daughters, like you read earlier, that are 10 and
Hmm.
13, and when I tell them things, unless one of my youngest daughter, she wants a Tesla. And I kept telling her, Bella, Tesla cars, they catch on fire. You don't want a Tesla, baby. Yes, mommy, I do. Until I showed her the YouTube video of Tesla cars catching on fire. It wasn't happening. If it ain't on YouTube, it don't happen. So
Right.
Tube Quest, right, for this generation, if it's not on YouTube, it ain't real. So Tube Quests are a big part of that program, and we take content that they gravitate towards and use that content to teach them the principles of Africana womanism. And the culminating activity is for them to, at the end, have an event where they're the creators of showing us and the world who they are as young ladies. So that whole program has to do with the facilitators that they're working with, empowering them to see who they really are, and then them having that self awareness of who they are and showing that in the end, in the culminating event. So we are piloting that at the Virgin Island school, and we've gotten phenomenal feedback from Principal Rogers there. She loves it. So we are excited to extend that in other places, but we did want to pilot it and get feedback first. So we will definitely be extending that program.
Definitely.
And one
Definitely.
thing that I'll just add, the
Hmm.
program again, she could just explain, kind of speaks for itself, because it is an extension of the teaching them how to be genuine in a sisterhood. But if we aren't able to help children, girls, boys, understand where they've come from, they're never going to understand who they are. And fortunately, that's built into the work that we do with the youth. Their knowledge is built upon knowing from whence we've come. You are royalty, and
Hmm.
you've come from kings and queens. Your history began long before slavery. And so we want you to understand that you can be who you want to be. There are no limitations to who you are, because it's already been so. You've got queens, warrior queens in your past. So you're not talking about just something that we're telling you by happenstance. This is who you are, honey. And we want you to be good with who you are. We want you to be secure in who you are. We want you to be secure in what you know about who you are. And so it's a very, very special program for us because Real Me for Girls, again, Sheka has two daughters who are nieces to me. I have nieces of my own. And what we want to make sure we're doing is our part to strengthen that community of young women who can go on and skip some of these things that are opposing forces right now, to take their minds off of who they are and to distract them into other avenues and arenas that we don't want them to go in. We've done some work. Sheik and I are in a Breonna Taylor book. It's an anthology, and we have a piece in that anthology that is very, very powerful, and it's on the adultification of young Black women. And these Black girls who are being adultified as early as 5 years old, we're serious about that not being the reality. Like we want this to be far and wide. And as she said, right now, there's even a beta program going on down in the Virgin Islands. So we're really excited about the work that we have going on, especially in that area, because that really, hits home when you are wanting to protect those girls that God has given you, and you want them to see not just what the world is saying a girl should be, but you tell the world who you are.
You went deep right there, and one of the things that you mentioned was that culturally relevant work, books especially that are in schools, we need them, because the information, especially the way I came up and where I came up in the heart of the Mississippi Delta, that's not information that you get on an often basis, and that's the kind of information that help you go from believing in yourself to knowing what you have within yourself, and believing and knowing, that's a different level. So again, I appreciate that identity piece. I know you all are big on bringing identity to the forefront. And with that, I only have another question or two for you all. But what would be the role of schools and community in supporting these types of mentorship programs? I feel like that's something that needs to be heard and explored as well. What would be the role of schools and communities in ensuring that they support these types of programs, Build My Sister, as well as the Real Me for Girls, etc.?
So, Build My Sister is definitely something that could be brought into any district who values the fact that the diversity that exists in their district, as far as Black women are concerned, that a lot of our lived experiences as leaders or as teachers, even, may not look like a lot of the people who are there, and that our support network needs to look differently than some that exist. So I know that a lot of companies have affinity programs, and so if this is something that a school or a district values, then Bill My Sister would be a great program to bring to your school or district to make sure that people have something where that genuine sisterhood can be cultivated and people feel as if they have support for their leadership. We talked about one of our coworkers that recently retired, and we spoke when she retired, because she was another African American female in our district who was a leader. And so when it was a blessing to have her in leadership when we first went into leadership. It's like, hey Kim, what should we doing? What should we be doing with XYZ? Or what do you do? Or just having that other person to bounce some things off of, or to say, hey sis, I got you. That is important. And it's important when that person looks like you. And to recognize that as a company is important as well.
Yes, and one thing I think we can add that this isn't something that we have done exclusively for educators and for schools. I mean, that's who we are, so we can speak to that at any time. But we're also women of faith. I am a pastor's wife. This work is important for women in the church. Like this isn't just something that it is tailored. We tailor it to who we are speaking with. So we're working with a corporation. We're not going to talk about school improvement. We're going to be talking about building and empowering women to be leaders in your company. If we're doing this for schools, of course, we're going to talk about this through the lens of a school. If we're talking about it for churches, we're going to be talking about this as how you support women and how we build our communities based on the fact that we can and should be there for one another. Another thing that is a part of the work that we do, and we really have not spoken a lot to it. Sheka mentioned how she's created the YouTube to be a resource for us with the Real Me for Girls. But a lot of work has been put into studying generations, and that generational study work, of course, is also important in corporations today because people don't know how to deal with the people that are working for them. People don't know how to deal with the people that they're working for. It's just like such a huge disconnect because we are almost operating as aliens sometimes with
Mm-hmm.
one another. And it's the same way that you see those things happening in schools and in churches again. So the work that we do is customizable to the audience that needs it.
And for the
Definitely.
Real Me for Girls, schools definitely could use that with any of their African American girls in their schools. For the principal who reached out to me, she actually used it as an intervention for some students that she was having some trouble with, and so she said they are responding phenomenally to the program. And a lot of times what looks like problem students in a school is that what are we using with the children where they see themselves, where they see something that is empowering to them as young African American women. So the program is cultivated to be an empowering program, so it can be used in schools, churches, community programs. Anybody can use the program with young girls, and we'll soon have the complement, just like for Build My Sister, the Build My Brother, the Real Me for Boys is also something that'll be coming as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And just before we close out with our last couple of questions, I want to get a little more crowd engagement, at least get them to thinking. What does sisterhood mean to you? In a word, think about it. If you're with us, definitely put it in the chat. But what does sisterhood or brotherhood, for that matter, if you're a man or a male, what does it mean to you? That's something that we should definitely think about. And tonight we cover quite a bit in this hour, from you guys talking about the empowerment programs to self-selected coaching, as well as self-discovery and identity. What token or key takeaway would each of you all like to leave with our viewers tonight?
Well, I would like to. Could you put up the graphic?
Definitely. Which one? Let me see.
The one with the
The
light bulb.
light bulb. Okay. That
So
one.
in our work, uh-huh. So as you can see at the bottom of the graphic here, the framework, the door is the key. We have to start with respect. That's why it's the door to get to anything else. If you don't start with respect, nothing else can be accomplished. So that's why we always say we're in the people business before we are in anything else. Because if you are not a person who's able to reach your people, not much is going to happen for you, no matter what position that you're in. And with our systems work, the reason why this light bulb has leadership and is connected to all other parts of the three systems, we take this framework and turn it into three systems. Leadership is what illuminates every part of the system. Your leadership is so important that if it's not centered in a way where you're able to reach the people through your systems of respect, through your systems of excellence, and through your systems of accountability, then we really got to look at your leadership, because you are the thing that makes every part of that system works. People buy into you as the leader. So it's so important for you to really have a true heart for children and for teachers. That was one of the things that I always I lead through the lens of a mom, but I definitely have a heart for children and for teachers, because without that, you go in with what I call that George Jefferson syndrome, and you will not be successful, or as successful as you could be, if you led from a different position. And I don't, did you want to say anything on that, Tammy?
Just that, as you stated before, the you can see the filament illuminated in the light bulb because
Mhm.
all of the systems are connected. But the important thing to take away from that light that's shining there is that's what you are. You are like the beacon, the lighthouse that sends out that signal of what's happening in the school. You're the one that people are looking to for guidance. They're looking to you to be led. And what we want to make sure that we're very clear about, and we do not bite our tongues, if you don't provide strong leadership, teachers are going to look elsewhere for it.
Mhm.
When you see teachers trying to fill in the gaps and making irrational decisions about things, it's not because they have a leader who is leading and actively leading. It's because they've started to scurry around and try to figure it out on their own. So you have to take your part of that overall systems concept very seriously, because if you don't provide leadership, they'll start looking for it elsewhere, which creates mass chaos.
Great point. Great point right there. Great point. Wow. Wow.
And
Wow. I really want to add something to that.
I'm sorry, and we definitely don't think that the onus of leadership is not just on the leader. Teachers are leaders, and the children are leaders as well. So that framework um, perpetuates to every aspect of the building.
Love it. Love it. Did you want to show anything else before we get ready
Um,
to?
no, just if you wanted to put up the real systems formula, and I can explain that, but if not, we know that you know it's only a certain amount of time. So I'll leave it up to you.
There you go. We'll put it up. They need it. They
Okay.
need the information.
Okay. So our real systems formula, we have it where we want leaders to understand the what is what's in that parentheses. So whatever it is that you're putting in a system for, and this could be for communication, could be the what. That messaging is so very important. When I would talk to my school about my town hall meetings that were a part of my communication plan, I let them know the reason why I'm doing these town hall meetings with students is because I want the children to know from my voice every morning that I am supporting you as my teachers in the building. So I want them to hear from me what my expectations are and that I am supporting you as a teacher in that classroom. So when you're giving me stuff that's happening, they're hearing my voice talk about it on this town hall meeting. But that messaging is what builds that trust. So when you have the messaging and the trust, plus your effective process, and my effective process for town hall meetings, we break it down for what the who, when, how. The who was me. I would do the town hall meetings when every Monday at the start of school. How I did it on Zoom so that everybody could see me and hear me, but that I could record it and also send that message to the parents because it was important for parents to be on the same page with everybody in the school so that all of the communication was succinct and I can say to parents, hey, parents, this is what we talked about. This is what I need your help with. And that equals your success, however you're going to measure that, over the refinement or how you're going to reflect on it to make it better. So that is how that's how we put systems in place, and we teach others how to put those same systems in place using our formula. So you can do this for everything that you have in place in your building, and we show you how we've done that at the elementary level, the middle level, and the high school level to get the level of success we were able to get coming out of school improvement.
Thank you.
And
Thank
one
you.
thing that we have often as a next slide, the success over refinement is often on that proverbial iceberg that has much more hidden under the surface than you can see at sea level, because a part of that success measurement has to be keeping a pulse on the culture and climate of the school and what's going on. Because as you are seeing things and making decisions and checking these systems, you are constantly refining, you're reflecting, you are looking at how things are improving so that the systems are also being adjusted. So it's a cyclical system approach to the things that are happening within your school.
Okay. All right. And how can the people be in contact with you all? I think this is it.
So through our website, www.createandeducate.solutions, and if I put it in the chat, Doc, I think you can put it in the comments.
Okay.
So yes, if they just go to our website and fill out the contact us form, we will definitely be in touch.
Okay. I think I got
You
it
see it on your
there.
end?
I do.
Okay. Yep. And
I'm
if
grabbing it now.
you copy and paste it
Yep.
into the comments, then everybody will have it on the different platforms.
Okay. That should be in there.
And that this Leadership Trust May Institute, if they are interested in that, just reach out and we will definitely give you that information about that as well.
Definitely, definitely. I cannot thank you all enough for the great value that you have brought to our viewers tonight, as well as to myself. So I definitely appreciate you coming on. You've given out your information. I want to give out a little bit of mine. If you all definitely professional development, speaking opportunities, or what have you, I do have some other resources I'm going to put up real briefly, but my email is joe@drjoegriffin.speaks.com, and the website is www.drjoegriffin.speaks.com as well. I want to also quickly share with you a few resources that I have that you may be interested in that could definitely help you. On the instructional leadership pillar side, we have our DIP approach for educators, as well as empowering educational communities, a guide for teacher-principal collaboration, great for teachers, leaders, educators. The empowering educational communities, a guide for teacher-principal collaboration, actually comes with the professional development for each chapter. So that's definitely a great resource for educators. The SEL side, also our cultural leadership side, we talk about our DIP approach for student and adult success. It's an SEL curriculum 33 principal program. It has all of the highest order thinking strategies, reciprocal teaching opportunities, read, write, think, discuss, thinking maps, graphic organizers. All of those are within that manual. And then the reading component, that's the guidebook. And of course, we always like to integrate the arts as therapy. I have the Spirit, Heart, and Soul collection of poetry as well. Otherwise, you all, it has indeed been another great week. Week 20, you all, the Speaking Life in the You Leadership live stream. Again, I thank my guests, Create and Educate, Dr. Sheka Houston, as well as Dr. Tammy Taylor. And we are going to be out of here, you all. Continue to be inspired, continue to motivate, continue to be the best that you could possibly be. See you on next week.
Thank you, and thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.